everyone, it's David. Welcome back to Gem Mint MTG, where we talk about collecting and grading Magic the Gathering cards. So the last month has been pretty crazy in the Magic the Gathering market because of Magic the Gathering 30th Anniversary Edition, the release of the Brothers War, and just general sentiment among collectors and players regarding Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. So a lot of prices have been changing a lot recently. Cards have been crashing. Things have been up and down. But one thing that, fortunately for us, has been pretty stable is the graded Magic the Gathering, the graded card market. So we're going to be going over today graded sales in the marketplace. This is the graded market review. So I do these generally once a month, and I go over real world sales of cards that have sold in the market and analyze them based on their selling price and the card's near mint value. So that's what we're going to be doing today. If you enjoy content like this, hit that subscribe button and join in the fun, because we're going to be doing stuff like this all the time here on Gem Mint MTG. All right, without any further ado, let's get into this first card. Okay, first up, we have a card from Ice Age. I'm going to be going through these in selling price order. So basically, the least expensive to the most expensive. I thought that'd be a cool way to do this one. So we're going to be doing, blip, blop, edit this out. Okay, so first up here is Brushland from Ice Age. This card sold for $75 in BGS 9 condition. Near mint, these are running about $11. When you adjust for the grading fee, it's a multiple of 1.23, so a 23% premium for that card when you consider the cost of grading. I thought this was a cool sale. I wanted to talk about it and just kind of touch on, I've had, it's an ongoing discussion how to price graded cards, and I'm a firm believer that the price of grading usually should be reflected in the price of the card for most, iconic, desirable cards, which I would consider this. It doesn't always work like that, but I thought that this was a good example of an $11 card selling for $70. When you think of the cost of grading, putting it at $61, it makes sense from a math perspective. So cool card. I really like, kind of lesser known, not as high end cards. I really like collecting and grading those kinds of cards too. And the Ice Age land cycle, Carplucent Forest, Underground River, Brushland, Sulphurous Springs, they're all really neat, and I thought this was a cool sale to talk about. Next up, we have Stasis from Revised. Another Revised card. We talked about that Revised Serra Angel that sold recently. This card sold for $79.99. Once again, near mint, they're running about $12.50. And when you factor in the cost of grading, it's a multiple of 1.28. So once again, it falls in line of the card's near mint price plus the cost of grading, and then you usually get around a 10 to 25% premium for that card when it's in 9 condition. Sometimes you can get more, but generally it's always under 2x. Next up, we've got Vesuvan Doppelganger from Revised in 8.5 condition. I thought this was a cool sale. I don't usually talk about 8.5s, but I thought this was a cool one. $150 for an 8.5. That's pretty crazy. Near mint, they're running about $25. These are getting harder and harder to find in near mint condition because it's just such an iconic card. So this is one where I talked about, like, generally 9s and stuff, you don't get a 2x multiple, but check out this Vesuvan Doppelganger. It's basically 2 right on the nose. And I thought it was interesting. I think that Vesuvan Doppelganger is one of those cards. It's not an extremely powerful card, but just the artwork is so iconic, and it's just such an awesome piece of Magic history and art that I think this card draws a really nice premium compared to just about anything else from Revised. When you look at the multiples, Vesuvan Doppelganger in 9, or even 8.5, 9, 9.5, this card can sell for a ton of money, and I thought this was a cool sale. Okay. Next up, we have a Kaladesh invention, the Sphere of Resistance. This card sold for $225 in BGS 9 condition. So near mint, they're running about $117.50. Adjust for the grading fee, 1.34. Once again, exactly what you would expect for a BGS 9. I really like these Kaladesh inventions. I have a pretty big set of them. I did a whole video about them if you ever want to see my Kaladesh invention collection of graded inventions. I got a whole bunch of them. I love the art. I hope they don't reprint them. Time will tell. We will see. Moving on to Gilded Lotus. This is the From the Vault version of this card. This is a 9.5, so this is a gem mint card that sold for $270. So this is kind of a crazy one. Near mint, this is not an expensive card. This is a $9 card. Factor in the cost of grading, it's a multiple of 4.58. That's astronomical in terms of BGS 9.5 math. Generally, you only get 3, 4, 5x multiples on pretty high-end cards like Arabian Nights cards, alpha cards, those really, really desirable cards. But something that I've talked about on this channel before is generally when the lower the price of the card in near mint condition, the more you can get away with from a multiples perspective, just like that Serra Angel from Revise, because just the overall effect on the wallet is lower. And I think this is a good example of that. So the Gilded Lotus, it's not a very expensive card, but it has Lotus in the name. It has cool artwork. This is the From the Vault edition. It's pretty flashy. It looks really cool. I could definitely see somebody really wanting to have this card. I think $270 is a lot of money to pay for. I personally would not be interested in this card at that price, but I can definitely see the allure for a collector. But I thought it was really cool because, one of the things that I talk about on this channel a lot is, grading and collecting, cards that, not too long ago would have been considered ungradable. If somebody told you they were going to be grading a Gilded Lotus from the vault, a year or 2 or 3 ago, that would have been considered not such a good thing to do. But look at this. This card sold for a fantastic price. So if you're the person who purchased this card and graded it yourself, you made really good money. And whoever has this card probably really, really loves it. So I think it's cool. I'm all for grading newer cards. Next up, we have another newer card, Strixhaven Mystical Archive Time Warp. This is a neat one. I really like the art on this one. This is a card that I think if I would have seen this one, I might have been into this card at this price. I thought it's really cool. This card sold for $299. Near mint, they're about $95. Multiple of 2.06. So in that range of what you would expect, generally BGS 9.5 sell for 2 to 3x the near mint price plus the cost of grading. So this is definitely in the range that you would expect. But I thought it was cool. It's a newer card. This card just came out a year or 2 ago. Well, to me, Strixhaven is still new. I know there's been like 8 million sets, but there's too many cards. There's too many sets. To me, Strixhaven is still a new set. But yeah, I just thought it was cool. $300 for a Strixhaven Mystical Archive that anybody can find or open from a pack or something like that. I'm all for grading newer cards. I think they pull really good prices. They're easier to get into for newer collectors, and they're easier to find in good condition, grade-worthy condition. Unlike most vintage Magic the Gathering cards, there's still like an opportunity to find raws in these pretty easily. So once again, really cool sale on the Time Warp. Next up, Null Rod from Weatherlight. So a Silver Age card. I really like these. I've talked about Silver Age reserve list cards for a while. So Null Rod from Weatherlight in 9.5 condition sells for $329. Near mint, they've come down a bit. They're about $90. These are getting easier to find at lower prices, especially in played condition. But near mint, they're still up there. But when you factor in the cost of grading, it's a 2.35 multiple, which is what you would expect, 2 to 3x for a BGS 9.5. But once again, I thought it was really cool because think about it. This is a reserve list card, right? And the reserve list has been on, shaky ground lately because of Magic the Gathering 30th Anniversary Edition. But look at this card. This is around the same price that you would have got a year ago, when it was free Tendy time. These cards have not retraced in value that much. The high grade vintage Magic cards have not retraced in value all that much. I think $329 for a Null Rod, a year ago would have been a good price, and this card just sold. So I think it's cool for all the bad stuff that's going on. For those of us who are into collecting high-end vintage, particularly high-grade cards, the market has been pretty stable, which is a great thing considering everything that's going on right now. Next up, another Silver Age staple, Serra's Sanctum from Urza's Saga in BGS 9 condition. Sold for $450. Near mint, they're running about $294. Factor in the cost of grading. It's a 31% premium for that card, which is exactly what you would expect. It was basically the same kind of premium that you got for the Sphere of Resistance, the same premium that you got for the Stasis from Revised. So all these cards were around a 25 to 30% premium for the card in BGS 9 condition. So that's generally what you see with these cards. So, but once again, this is another one. Serra's Sanctum for $450 in BGS 9 condition. That's like a 2021 price. That's a fantastic price. This card has not retraced really at all, and that's a great thing. Moving on to the Sword of Feast and Famine, Kaladesh Invention. So I have one of these. It's in BGS 9 condition. I graded it myself. This is a PSA 10, so this is a really nice one. Sold for $510. Near mint, they're running about $205. So it's a multiple of 2x, which is, honestly, it's a pretty low premium for a PSA 10. PSA 10s can get just as high or higher as BGS 9.5s. Sometimes you can get even higher than a card in 9.5 if it's not a quad or a quad plus, but people love their PSA 10s on certain kinds of cards. There's PSA collectors, and they will go crazy for cards in PSA 10 condition. But it's a Kaladesh invention, so it's a newer card from, I think, 2016. So it's not going to get the same kind of premium as other vintage PSA 10s. But I thought this was another awesome card. $500 for a Sword of Feast and Famine. Once again, cool card, newer card. Fantastic card, fantastic grade, fantastic price. Okay, let's go over this one. This is another crazy one. This is a llanowar elves from Alpha in 9 condition, not 9.5, not a PSA 10. This card sold for $900. It's just crazy. It's so hard to put a price on near mint Alpha raw. But I did a little bit digging, and I think you'd be around $525. So when you adjust for the grading fee, it's a multiple of 1.57. So in that 1.25 to 1.5 range that we've talked about for BGS 9s. But I mean, $900 for a llanowar elf in mid condition is just crazy when you think about it. It's like you could get I'm just looking here. You could get like a Sword of Feast and Famine PSA 10 and a BGS 9 Serra's Sanctum for like the same price as an Alpha llanowar elf. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. These Alpha cards. Also, Alpha cards have been very, very stable. They're much less susceptible to the things that are going on with 30th Anniversary Edition because the market for them is basically completely collector driven. So it's another good thing, but it's just so crazy to see a card like Alpha llanowar elf sell for almost $1,000. Okay, so we're getting up there in price. This next one, everybody's favorite card from Urza's Saga, Gaia's Cradle. So we talked about the Sanctum. It's another one of the lands from Urza's Saga. So this is the big kahuna, the Gaia's Cradle, sold for $1,500 in BGS 9 condition. Near mint, they're about $950. This is another card that just hasn't retraced as much. It hasn't been reprinted yet. But this is another card that's been very resilient in a high grade. So this is a 49% premium for that card. And once again, high grade, graded cards, iconic cards have not been as susceptible. This $1,500 for a BGS 9 Gaia's Cradle, this is a 2021 price, just like the Serra's Sanctum. I track these. We've been tracking these together for over a year now. So you can go back to the other graded market reviews. The high grade stuff, it just hasn't had the same kind of negative pressure as the raw cards, the revised cards, the dual lands, Wheels of Fortune, stuff like that. That's been really really tested lately. So really cool to see Gaia's Cradle. It's just such an iconic card, such an iconic piece of Magic history. I remember when this card came out in Urza Saga, and it was just like so broken, just absolutely broken. This in Tolarian Academy, it's like what were you thinking? It was awesome. I mean, I remember from the day this card came out, it was like the card. It was always the card. Tolarian Academy got banned like not that long after it was released. But Gaia's Cradle, popular in Commander, still has a hefty price tag, which is great to see. Okay, Wheel of Fortune from Revise, BGS, 9.5 quad, $2,750. Near mint, these are about $375, multiple of 6.47x. That's crazy. But we've talked about 9.5 quads before on this channel. If you are an avid collector of graded Magic the Gathering cards, you know that 9.5 quads are a very special thing that attract a very special set of collectors. They are very, very desirable, and they fetch sometimes a crazy premium, even over the same card in basic 9.5 condition. So for anybody who doesn't know, there are a lot of newer subscribers here. A 9.5 quad is a BGS 9.5 that has all subgrades of 9.5. You can get a 9.5 and still have a subgrade of 9 on your card, but a 9.5 quad has a 9.5 on each of the subgrades. And then you get into pluses, quad pluses, which is like 9.5 on all of the grades, and then a 10 on one or two of them. You can have those too. But this is a 9.5 quad on, one of the most iconic cards from Revised. The Wheel of Fortune in 9.5 condition is just, this is awesome. This is crazy. Wheel of Fortune is one of those ones that I talked about. I talked about how I think this card is going to have downward pressure on it in raw condition, particularly played condition cards. But this is a great example. Despite all of the pressure on revised reserve list cards for Magic 30th, the 9.5 quads are holding up very, very well. This is a crazy price. This might be a record price. I don't have another record of a 9.5 quad selling, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is a record price. So it's just cool to see. This is a extremely strong sale. I think that this sale, in a nutshell, shows just how stable and strong the high grade market is for particularly vintage and reserve list cards. This is a phenomenal sale. This is a lot of money on a card that has, in raw played condition, had a lot of pressure on it. So I thought it was cool to talk about. Moving on, this is the most expensive card. This is the last one. This is the unlimited Volcanic Island in 9.5 condition. These are very hard to get in 9.5. For anybody who doesn't know, the Volcanic Island from Unlimited is notoriously off-centered. I have an unlimited Volcanic Island. It is offset just like just about every other one. But within the population of that card, you have some that are more centered than others. But it's a small portion of that market. And it's really, really hard to get this card in 9.5 condition. A, because it's an unlimited card, and they're so hard to find, raw at all these days, or in near mint condition. And then you also have the fact that most of these are off-centered in such a way that a lot of the centering grades are 8 or 8.5, which basically excludes you from getting a 9.5. So to have this card in 9.5 condition is very, very special. That means that you got at least a 9 on your centering, which is very, very good for this card. So I'm not surprised. It's crazy. It's $5,000 for a Volcanic Island, but when you take that into consideration, it's understandable, and also the math on it makes sense. I mean, 2.19 multiple near mint, these are around $22,225. So the multiple makes sense, 2.19. It's in that 2 to 3x range, but I mean, you look at it, it's like, holy cow, $5,000 for a volcanic island. But like I said, it makes sense when you think about the fact that these cards are extremely hard to find in 9.5 condition because of the way that the card was printed. All right, that's our last card. This was fun. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, and everything is so crazy in the market. And it was kind of nice to go through this and just kind of reassure myself. You hopefully got a good feeling about this, because this is, these are prices that we would have seen last year. These cards have not retraced a ton. If they do, I will. Of course, I'll tell you. I don't sugarcoat anything here. If I see softness in a card, I will tell you. But to be honest with you, these prices are fine. These are cards that are selling for good prices, and prices that you would have seen a year or two ago. So, all right, let's wrap this video up. That's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Graded Magic Market Review. I really enjoy doing these. I hope that you enjoy the content. If you did enjoy the content today, hit that subscribe button. I'm still trying to grow this channel on YouTube and spread the word about collecting and grading, despite all the stuff going on in the market right now with 30th and Brothers War and stuff. They just honestly haven't been that good. So I think it's great to see, positive stuff in the market as well. So I hope you got to see some of that today. All right. I hope you had a great weekend. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Sunday, go watch some football, have a couple brews. Till next time, thanks. Have a great one.